Hello and welcome to News Today by Vision IAS, where we try to cover major and minor happenings of India and world in a very comprehensive and holistic manner. Today we will look at the news segments of 27 June. So let's see what are the major headlines first. The first major headline is that India refused to sign joint statement at SCO Defense Ministers meet. The second major headline will be that India is in touch with China on rare earth magnet supply and its export restriction. We will look at what are these export restrictions also. The third major headline is Union Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways inaugurated Sagarmala Finance Corporation Limited, the first NBFC in marine sector. We will look about that also. Then the very significant happening that US pulls funding from Gavi, the vaccine alliance, a very important setback for global vaccine alliance. Then the last major heading will be that India celebrates 10 years of Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, what we call as Amrut. And then we will look at the place in news for today, that is Japan. So along with these main news, we will also look at some quick updates related to official language, International Finance Service Center, UN80 Initiative, Operation Deep Manifest, Science and Tech Cluster Initiatives, Alpha Genome, Green Data Center, and last but not least, Mansurover Lake. So let's start with our first major news. So what happened was that at SCO Defense Minister meet, or Defense Minister Rajnath Singh ji, he refused to sign the joint declaration. So in SCO, if everybody signs the declaration, or member signs the declaration, it is accepted based upon consensus. Now, why did India refuse to sign the declaration? What is SCO and the importance of SCO? It becomes a very important news for today, for prelims and as for mains also. So why did India did not sign the declaration? Because India wanted to include the terrorist attack that happened in Falgam in Jammu and Kashmir, a statement related to that. But that statement was excluded from the final statement. However, where the terrorist attack that happened in Balochistan, it was mentioned. So India was of the view that this becomes double standard. While the terrorist attacks that happened in Pakistan were mentioned in the statement, but when it came to the terrorist attack in India that are majorly sponsored by Pakistan, there was no mention of it. So based upon that, India refused to sign the statement. And the defense minister categorically said that it is not that we do not believe in consensus. He said that India believe in the idea of one family, one earth, one future rooted in Vasudeva Kutumbakam. But that should be followed by all the members of the SCO. He also said that India understands the importance of SCO. It is an organization that accounts for 30% of global GDP, 40% of world population. So it is a major organization, and we will talk about the importance of SCO also for India and what are the challenges related to it later on. And the major challenge when it comes to SCO is that it is an organization that has the nexus of Pakistan and China. It is mainly a China-backed or dominated organization, so it becomes a little bit tricky for us to tackle whatever happens at SCO. Okay, let's look at a brief background of SCO. Now, this is something which is important for prelims. UPSC can ask you about the origin of SCO. They can ask you what are the member states. They can ask you what is Shanghai spirit and the organizational structure. All of them are important in prelims also, and they can be asked in mains also. A question can be there on SCO where you have to give this background. So let's look at the genesis. So SCO was formed at Shanghai Summit in 2001 as intergovernment organization. Now the idea behind SCO is the Indian or the Asian, not Indian, the Asian countries, they felt that most of these global organizations and institutions, they are actually dominated by the West, especially when you talk about security. So they thought that let's have something, especially China and Russia, they thought let's have something which is not so much Western dominated. So that is one of the character of SCO. So it is a kind of a counterweight. It came as a counterweight to Western influence and dominance. Now there are 10 member countries, originally 5, China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia and Tajikistan. Okay, it is important that you understand there is no Uzbekistan here among the Central Asian countries. UPSC can give you a question about who is the member of SCO and they can put Uzbekistan and you will say, okay, it is basically related to Central Asia and you will mark it. So be very careful about it. Later on, Uzbekistan, India, Pakistan, Iran and Belarus was added. So Uzbekistan is not in the original 5, it was later added on, and India and Pakistan, they together became part of SCO in Astana 2017. So it is also important that in original Shanghai 5, there is no Uzbekistan. It was added later on, and India and Pakistan were also not part of the original Shanghai 5. They were added later on in 2017 at Astana Summit. I hope the member countries are clear to you. Then there is a term known as Shanghai Spirit. First of all, you should understand what is Shanghai Spirit, and then you should know that you can use it in mains answer. Whenever there is a question related to SEO or international relations, you can talk about Shanghai Spirit. So it talks about mutual trust, mutual benefit, equity, consultation, respect of culture diversity, pursuit of common development. These principles underpins the working of SEO. Now, if it is based on mutual trust and benefit, then the statement by India should have been included. That is what our finance minister or Minister was saying, and because of it we refused to sign the declaration. If you look at the organizational structure, so there is this Council of Head of State, the apex decision making body, where all the head of the state they sit and they make the major decision, and then there is Council of Head of the Government, the second highest council. So this is the major structure, genesis, member and the idea of SEO. Now let's look at the importance of it. So why it is important? First, as I said, that it is something that is a counterweight to Western influence. So it gives a good bridge to India between the West and the East, but it also becomes a challenge also. See, it is seen something as anti-West, and India has traditionally been playing a very balancing role between West and East. So we cannot be seen more anti-West also, and we don't want to be seen more anti-West also. We want to be good friends with everybody. That has been the traditional approach of Indian foreign policy. So that becomes challenge also, and that is the importance also. The second major challenge, as I talked about, was the nexus of China and Pakistan. Because of that, it becomes a little bit tricky for us to operate there. But it also offers opportunity. SEO is very important. First, why? Because there is this RAT, Regional Anti-Terrorism Scheme, in which they ensure counter-terrorism measures, and that becomes very important for India. Second, since it is Central Asia is also part of SEO, and India is looking for economic integration in Central Asia, then it becomes important for India because it gives an opportunity for economic growth. So these are important potential of SEOs, because of which India take it very seriously, and it is very important to us. I hope it is clear to you what is SEO, the background of it, the original 5, which countries were there, which were not, which were added later on, the Shanghai Spirit, as well as why India recently refused to sign the statement. So let's now move on to the next major headline. The next major headline is that India is in touch with China regarding rare earth magnet supply amid export restrictions. So China has put some export restrictions on its rare earth magnet supply. Now, what are this rare earth magnet is basically the rare elements that are there. And so we will talk about what are these rare elements, why they are called rare earth elements, why they are called so, and why they are also critical minerals also. So we will look at all those things. First, look at this headline. China has put the export restriction on these rare earth minerals. Why? Because to counter the tariffs that has been imposed on China by US. So there is this tariff war that is going on between China and US. So recently there was an election in the US, and Donald Trump, he won. and he has gone for this new policy of imposing tariffs on various countries, specifically on China. So as counter to that, China is now also imposing some restrictions. And one of the restriction is that for exporting these rare earth magnets, you need to get approvals from Beijing. Okay, this makes it very difficult for countries who are heavily dependent on Chinese supply. Actually, China controls over 90% of global processing capacities of rare earth elements. I'll talk about this processing also, why China is doing it and why India is not doing it, or why the 90% of global processing is done in China. So based upon this advantage or leverage that China has, China is using it as part of its international policy. Okay, so India is getting in touch so that we have the supplies of the rare earth minerals which is needed. Okay, I hope this is clear to you regarding what is the current happening in rare earth minerals. The thing is that China has now put on export control in a way of approvals based upon the tariffs that have been imposed on US, and because of it now India need to get in touch with China to ensure we have the regular supply. So that is the current context of what is happening with respect to rare earth elements. Now look at the background of the rare earth elements. So what we talked earlier becomes important for mains. There can be a question related to India-China statement, related to tariff war, and you can put it there. Now what we will look here is very important for prelims. When we talk about rare earth minerals or rare earth elements, these are actually not very rare. Rare in the sense, is it not like they are not found in abundance in India, on earth. They're actually found in very abundance. Some of them are as abundant as copper. They are called rare because they are found in very less concentration. So you have to process a lot of sand, a lot of mineral to get a particular amount of rare earth elements. That's why that processing becomes important. That processing requires a very specific tech, specific know-hows, and China has leverages from the starting itself. So they develop these capacities for rare earth elements, processing of these rare earth elements, and based upon that, they now capture 90% of the world processing of rare earth elements. So that is the strategic advantage they have. And that is the strategic advantage India is also trying to have related to building the processing capacity of rare earth elements. So again, I'll say the rarity comes from the difficulty of processing these elements because they are found in very less concentration. They do not find, like you won't find an ore that had 90% rare earth element. And second important thing is that they are also not found in a standalone place, like there is no single rare earth element. They are found with various minerals. They are found in combination with one another. So that also makes it difficult, no? Because you have to extract single rare earth element from various elements. That also makes it difficult. So the rarity comes from the difficulty. It does not comes from the idea that there is less abundance of these minerals. So I hope you now have a clarity what is this rare earth elements, why they are called rare earth elements. Second thing that you need to know about them is why everybody is running after them. So why every country is going after these rare earth elements and why they are critical minerals. Critical minerals are the minerals which are important based upon the country's strategic infrastructure and strategic utility. When we talk about renewable energy, energy infrastructure, now IT. So if there is a lot of dependence of a country for particular minerals or materials regarding these sector, then they become critical, specifically if they have to import these things. And mostly since it is being processed in China, they are being imported by various countries, including India. So that's why also they are very important. Now, why they are used so much in IT, in this smart television also has these rare earth elements. So why they are used so much? Because of their property of less corrosivity. So they do not corrode easily. Okay, and the most important property they have is that they have high number of unpaired electrons. So we are going in a little bit of tech how now, but it is very relevant for prelims. that UPSC can give a statement related to these rare earth elements, and one of the statement can be that they have high number of unpaired electrons. Okay, because of that, they have such kind of properties which are very useful for specifically these digital infrastructure and these IT-based systems or renewable sectors, which we are now going after in a very strategic manner and in a mission mode. So I hope this is clear to you, that they are critical minerals. They are the property they have, the feature they have, and the definition of it. This is all very important for prelims. Now, let's look at the application. As I talked about, they are important for a lot of sectors. Some of them are aerospace and defense systems, cellular telephones, computer hardware, as I was talking about, guidance system, laser, radar, sonar, automotive energy system. These are all important critical sectors of any country. And if all these sectors are using rare earth minerals, rare earth elements, then these rare earth elements become very important. When we look at the global reserve, now you will see, when we say that India has the 5th largest reserve, it gives you an impression कि okay, हमारे पास तो है ये. Then why are we importing? As I said, the processing becomes very important. We have a lot of rare earth element, especially in the monzite sand that we find, beach sand minerals. These are known as beach sand minerals. And in beach sand minerals, we have a lot of rare earth elements. But at present, we have little bit of challenge in processing those minerals. And we are working upon that. And in future, we might not be that much dependent on other countries for the supply of rare earth elements. So when we talk about global reserve, China is the largest reserve and also is 90% processing capacity of the world. Then Brazil has 21 million metric tons. India has 7 million metric tons. This data can be important for mains and you should be very well aware of it. And as I said that we are looking to improve our processing capacities. So India has launched national critical mineral missions in 2025 to promote exploration of these rare earth elements. So we are exploring and we are also focusing on processing of these minerals. I hope this is clear. I hope this rare earth element, they keep on coming in news and you might have a lot of doubt related to them. So I hope you now have a clarity what they are, why they are important, and how much India is dependent on another or how much we need to do to remove that dependency. Okay, let's move on to the next major news. So the next major news is that India's first maritime NBFC has been launched and it is Sagarmala Finance Corporation Limited. So Union Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways inaugurated the Sagarmala Finance Corporation Limited, making a significant milestone in India's maritime sector development. So in past 5 to 7 years, especially we can say a decade also, India has really been focused upon developing its maritime sector, whether it is inland waterways, whether it is port, or in general, the port infrastructure, right? So it is continuum of that we have established our first maritime NBFC. So let's look more about it. So the status of it is that earlier it was Sagarmala Development Company Limited, okay, a mini Ratna, Category 1 Central Public Sector Enterprises. So that is the status of it. It is an NBFC regulated by RBI. So what it will do is, it will offer tailored financial products to port authorities, shipping companies, support strategic sectors like shipbuilding, maritime education, and maritime tourism also. So idea is, it is a dedicated NBFCs that will lend fund to those industry or those industrial companies which are looking specifically to develop capacity in maritime sector. It will ensure that these companies or these institutions do not have shortage of money to develop capacity vis-a-vis maritime sector. So I hope this is clear to you. What is this SMFCL? Now let's look upon some of the key initiative also. Other than this, as I said, no, in last 5 to 10 years, India is trying to boost its maritime sector. So what other steps have been taken? So a digital center of excellence has been established for maritime sector to foster innovation through AI, IoT, blockchain for modernization, port operation and shipping logistic. So now this will use data to ensure that the efficiency at port is improved, the operation cost comes down, and the speed is high. It plays an important role in ensuring that the logistic cost of maritime activities is less. Then there is Sagar Setu platform, an integrated multiple service provides for seamless EXIM related services aligned with PM Gati Shakti. So what does this is, it provides services related to the logistics or the planning of the flow of the goods through various ports. So that is the major role of this Sagar Setu platform. Then there is Drishti. It accelerates implementation of Maritime India Vision 2030 and Amrit Kal Vision 2047. So the idea is that to boost the planning and the performance of all these activities that are going on related to boosting the productivity of maritime sector. I hope this is clear to you all. Now let's look about these visions which were mentioned earlier. So Maritime India Vision 2030 is a comprehensive framework for holistic development of India's maritime sector, encompassing ports, shipping and waterways. It aims to propel India to global maritime leadership. So again, a significant target to ensure that India has good capacity and is a global leader when it comes to maritime sector. Now, why you must have this doubt? Why so much is happening related to maritime sector? Because first of all, India has around 7,500 kilometer long coastline on Indian Ocean. So it becomes a very big potential. Second, India is situated as global marine highways. All these important routes of the world, it goes through Indian Ocean and India sits there. So we can actually benefit from it. That has been the oldest trade in human history, has been of getting benefit from trade routes. So earlier we used to have Silk route. Now there is this maritime route, these maritime highways, and India is very close to it. So India has a good proximity to these maritime trade highways, and that is why India is trying to boost its maritime sector. So this is an important background of why so much is happening related to maritime sector. Then there is Amrit Kal Vision 2047. It focuses on developing world-class ports, promoting inland water transport, coastal shipping, and sustainable maritime practices. See, these world-class ports, this is very important. Indian ports generally have a high turnaround time, and that leads to higher logistic cost. So because of that, our goods which are going out to other countries, they face cost issue. Our goods are higher in cost as compared to other goods of other countries, specifically China and other countries, and it leads to less competitiveness vis-a-vis the other products. So if we reduce the logistic cost, if we have good ports, if the turnaround time is less, if the goods are moving at a faster pace, then the cost will be less because time is money. And when the cost is less, our products will be available at a cheaper rate in the other countries, and it will boost our export. So that is one of the target also why we are going for development of these ports and in general maritime sector. So I hope you have a good clarity why this NBFC was established, why India is looking so much into maritime sector, and what are the potentials that is there for maritime sector in India. Now let's move on to the next major news heading. So the next major news heading is that US withdraws funding from Gavi. Now there are two important happening. Both of them are important for mains, and Gavi is important for prelims also. So first is that US is withdrawing. Every now and then, now you will listen and we will see also that US is withdrawing from some international organization. Why US have suddenly, which have been a hegemon in the world for so long, suddenly started withdrawing from institutions which to an extent the US itself established, is because after Donald Trump came to presidency, there has been an inward looking tendency in US. So they are now thinking, okay, what are these organizations that we have established, and do we really need them, or do these institutions are serving the US purposes? So there is this debate going on in US, and based upon that debate, this was an important development. Now, US, as I said, has long been one of the biggest supporter of Gavi, and now they have withdrawn. So the context here for mains is that now US is getting out of these global organization because there is some change of mindset. So you should be well aware of it. Second is Gavi. Now, what are the arguments for which US has actually withdrawn is that US accuses Gavi and WHO of silencing dissenting views and legitimizing questions about vaccine safety. So the people in US government, they have little bit of doubts related to vaccines, and based upon that they are raising some questions, and they are accusing that Gavi is not listening to those questions properly, and because of it they have withdrawn. So that is their argument. Now let's look upon, so what is Gavi? Gavi is actually a vaccine alliance. It tries to ensure availability of vaccine for a lot of diseases all over the world. So it was established in 2000 as a public private partnership with core partners as WHO, UNICEF, World Bank and Gates Foundation. So Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, they were the important backer of this Gavi organization when it came up. Okay, so it is part of PPP and it was established in 2000. So you should be aware of both these facts. So it is a PPP based organization and then it was established in 2000. The mission of it is to save life and protect health by increasing equitable and sustainable use of vaccines. So this is very important. Equitable and sustainable use of vaccines. That is the idea of providing affordable vaccines to countries and regions of the world which cannot right now afford these vaccines. Okay, now impact of Gavi initiative is that it has vaccinated over 1 billion children across the poorest countries, as I mentioned, with members of WHO-led vaccine safety net project. So the WHO has this vaccine safety net project, and Gavi in cooperation with that has ensured vaccination of 1 billion children. Now let's look more about why, as I was saying, that US is withdrawing from all these international organizations. So which of the following UPSC can give you a question? US has withdrawn from which of the following international organizations or institutes? So US withdrew from WHO, they withdrew from Paris Climate Agreement, they withdrew from UN Human Rights Council, UN Relief and Work Agency was defunded. So this is a form of inward looking tendencies in US, and this trend will have an impact. US is one of the major hegemon of the world. It is the largest economy of the world. So whenever the government of US does such thing, it will have an impact. So let's look at the impact. The global impact is weakening of multilateralism and rule-based order. So this rule-based order, it came into existence after World War II, and specifically after the Cold War got over. After that, there was one hegemon, and that was US. Okay, so now US itself is going behind that rule-based order which it itself has established. So that is why this rule-based order is under threat. It is undermining climate action. US is a major funder also, where it provides major funds to a lot of climate change activities, and as it is withdrawing from Paris Agreement, there will be issues of fund for climate change mitigation and control measures. Then there will be funding shortages. As I said, US funded 15% of WHO in 2024. With US gone, it will be difficult to fill up this gap. Then there is leadership vacuum at the global stage. So since US is becoming inward looking, somebody will fill that leadership vacuum, and most probably it will be China, which India will find it difficult to deal with. So that is one of the worry we have as a country about the receding role of US in the world stage. I hope this is clear to you. Gavi initiative, what US is doing, the importance of it for mains, the importance of it for prelims. Now let's look at another major news heading is that Amrut has completed 10 years. Now this news segment becomes very important for mains. You might think that, okay, Amrut is important for prelims also and might be important, and there can be a question related to it prelims. But since it has completed 10 years, there can be a question related to evaluation of the impact of Amrut on the water part of the society, or sanitation part of the society, or in general, what are the impacts of Amrut? There can be a question. So let's look at the headings first, or look at what is actually happening is that Amrut has completed 10 years, and it is the first water focus mission which was launched in 2015. So this can be a prelim statement also, that Amrut is the first water focus mission launched in 2015. So that is true. And there we have launched this Amrut in phase 2. So now what currently is going on is the Amrut 2.0, and in 2021, covering all local bodies through 2025 and 2026. Okay, by 26 they want to cover all local bodies. Now let's look about this. The first we will look at the key details of the Amrut, and then we will look at the impacts of it. So what are the key details? The nodal ministry is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. You might think it is related to water, so because it is not just related to water, it's related to sanitation also. It is related to cleanliness in urban areas also. So there are a lot of activities on Amrut, and the major nodal ministry because of it, because it is related to cities, because it is related to urban area, is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Now when we talk about the funding of it, so it is basically a center sponsored scheme with funds shared between states and UTs. So you might be aware that in centrally sponsored schemes, the funds are shared between states and centers. Then there are central sector schemes in which it mostly 100% funding is done by the center. Okay, now coverage, when we talk about the coverage, so currently there are 485 cities, and the target was actually for 500 cities, so almost there. So this has been an important scheme for sanitation development, and the target or the objective of Amrut was, it aimed to ensure every household has access to tap and sewage connections, increase city amenity value, and reduce pollution. So as I said, the idea was to ensure tap connections as well as sanitation improvement through sewage connections. Now let's look at some outcomes. Now when we look at the outcome, 99 lakh street lights replaced with energy efficient LEDs. So major energy consumption stopped and major energy conservation ensured. Then let's look about the carbon emissions. 46 lakh ton carbon dioxide reduction per year, a major contributor to climate change mitigation. Okay, now they have also raised 4,984 crores by bulbs through municipal bonds. So bulbs are basically municipal bonds, and they are going for municipal bond funding way of raising funds so that they do not face the fund crunch. Now the major outcome is that 3,599 cities implemented online building permission system, a very major important milestone. Another milestone is that GIS-based master plan for Amrut cities formulated for 231 cities covering 1 lakh square kilometer areas. These all facts will become the factor which will give you 6 to 7 marks out of 10 marks, I can say, if you write all these things when there is a question related to evaluation of Amrut mission. So this is very important. I hope this is clear. Now let's look at the initiatives that are part of this Amrut scheme. The first major initiative is Jal Hi Amrit. So it is a program designed to treat and reuse water safely across urban areas. So it is about recycling of water, reuse water by treating it. Again, important initiative to ensure consistent water supplies also. Then there is Amrut Mitra. It is an initiative to foster skill among SSG women related to water management in these communities. So it tries to promote the self-help groups of women related to water management, and they provide skills related to it. So these are very important initiatives related to Amrut. I hope you have a clarity of what is Amrut, why it is important, and most importantly, what have been the major outcome of this particular scheme. Now, let's look at the another major news segment, that is places in news. So, today's places in news is Japan, which is capital Tokyo. Now, why Japan is in news? Because there was an earthquake in Japan and it is prone to that. We will look at why it is prone to that. Let's look at the geography of it. So we know it is located in Pacific Ocean. and it is surrounded by Sea of Japan on one side, and when we talk about countries, there is North Korea, South Korea. Okay, so you should, whenever if there is a question related to Japan, India-Japan relationship, always try to draw a map. And it's very important, you know, seas also which are connecting or surrounding major land bodies or water bodies, because they can be asked in prelims also. So if we talk about political and geographical feature of Japan, Japan is an island nation of east coast of Asia with 4 major islands. Okay, then maritime boundaries, Pacific Ocean, as I talk about, Sea of Japan, East China Sea, and Mount Fuji. It is the highest peak in Japan. So there can be a question connecting the highest peak in various countries, and UPSC can give Mount Fuji, and you should know that it is the highest peak of Japan. Then there are major rivers like Shinano, Tone, Kiso. So these are the rivers of Japan. And if we talk about why we are studying about Japan right now, is because there was an earthquake in Japan. It is part of the ring of fire, the Pacific ring of fire, that have a lot of volcanoes, and because of the subduction of the oceanic, and you must have studied in your geography that at Pacific ring of fire there is a subduction zone where the heavy oceanic plate is getting subducted under the continental plate, and because of that it is prone to earthquake, and because of that it is prone to volcanism. So, and Japan is prone to earthquake a lot, and recently there was an earthquake. So this is all about Japan. I hope this is clear to you. Now let's look up some quick updates or some quick news that were there in news today. So first is that the Department of Official Language recently celebrated its golden jubilee, making 50 years since its establishment in 1975. Now because of this new segment, the key provisions related to official language become important. When we talk about the constitutional provisions, there is part 17 of the constitution that contain official language provisions. Article 343 that establish Hindi as Devanagari script of India as the union's official language. Article 344 mandate a commission and committee on official language. Article 345 empowers state to adopt regional language or Hindi. So these are the important constitutional provision. We also have a Official Language Act of 1963 that provide continued use of English alongside Hindi for official purposes. Then it applies to all official union purposes. It extends to parliamentary business transaction as well. So this is all about the official language. The debate related to official language will keep on happening in India. So you should be very clear and thorough about the major constitutional provisions of it and Official Language Act. So this was related to official language. Now let's look at the another quick update. So recently, the GIFT City. So there was a news development related to GIFT City. Finance Minister recently reviewed progress of GIFT City. So what is a GIFT City? It was established as special economic zone in 2015 as an hub of international financial activity. So major financial activities goes on here, and India wanted to come at par of the international financial services, and for that we established this GIFT City, and it is regulated by IFC authority, a statutory body under IFC Act, serves as unified regulator for financial products, services and institutions. So I hope you have a good idea what is GIFT City. The purpose of it is to provide financial services. It acts as a hub of financial services for Indians as well as for the people living abroad. Now let's move on to the next quick update. So recently the UN80 initiative has been launched. So what is UN80? UN80 initiative is actually launched to commemorate the UN Charter's 80th anniversary, which was adopted in 1947. So what does the charter does, and what does the UN Charter does? It provides the purpose, the mandates and the structure of UN. So it laid down the skeleton on which the UN stands today. So if we talk about the structure, it was founded in 1945 after World War II. 6 principal organs, as you are aware of. First is General Assembly, then there is Security Council, then there is Economic and Social Council, then Trusteeship Council, International Court of Justice, and UN Secretariat. Okay, so these are the 6 major principal organs, and then there are 193 member cities. India is the founding member of UN. So this is the major news update related to UN80. Let's look at the next quick update. So there has been an operation known as Operation Deep Manifest. The idea of it is to curbing illegal import. These are those imports which are actually coming from third party countries, specifically Pakistan. The imports that are originating from Pakistan are coming to India through third party countries like, let's suppose, Dubai. Okay, so we have already gone for not having any imports from Pakistan, and that's why we are having these operation to ensure these things do not happen. The operation was launched by DRI, and it targets illegal imports of Pakistani goods routed through third parties, specifically Dubai. So 9 crore worth of goods were seized under this operation. This is the major news happening. There can be a prelims question related to what is Operational Deep Manifest. I hope that is clear. Now let's look at the science and tech clusters that have been established for fostering innovation ecosystem in India. Okay, so let's look about this initiative. What are the science and tech clusters? So they were launched in 2020 based upon PM Science and Tech Innovation Advisory Committee recommendation. It brings together academic institution, R&D organization, industry, and local government. So they act as the nodal hub for all these various important organizations, and they provide good opportunities for these industry, for these academic institution to foster the science and tech development in the country. Now, some recent development and implementation related to it. Nodal implementing agency for this S&T cluster is Office of Principal Scientific Advisor under Cabinet Secretariat. Okay, so this becomes a very important happening to promote science and tech and innovation in the country. So I hope this is clear to you. Let's move on to the next quick update. The next quick update is about Alpha Genome. So what is Alpha Genome? Alpha Genome is Google's DeepMind new AI model. So this is an AI model specifically for predicting how DNA mutation affects function and health of a body by analyzing up to 1 million base pairs. So UPSC can ask you a question, what is Alpha Genome? And the right answer is, it is Google DeepMind's new AI model. So this is another quick update. The next major quick update is that there has been a green data center which has been established as state-of-art facility in Ghaziabad by CEL and ESDS, focusing on energy efficiency and making India self-reliant digital power. So again, a very important factor for digital India. So you should be aware about it. Let's look at the last major quick update. It is about Mansurover Lake. So recently, after 6 years, Indian pilgrims completed the Kailash Mansurover Yatras, India's first China people-to-people exchange since COVID-19 and LAC standoff. So during COVID also, we had this standoff at LAC with China, and after that, these Mansurovar pilgrimage, they were stopped. But now after 6 years, we have started again. The Yatra, it goes through Lipu Lake Pass in Uttarakhand and Nathula Pass in Sikkim. Now both of these passes are very important. They can come in prelims. UPSC can ask Lipu Lake Pass is in which state, and it can ask Nathula Pass is in which state. So you should be very well aware of it, that Lipu Lake Pass is in Uttarakhand and Nathula is in Sikkim. Now the significance of Mansurovar Lake when we talk about is, it is the world's highest freshwater lake located in Tibet at Mount Kailash southern foot. Okay, so that is the location of it. It is very important for Hindu culture and belief, as it is believed that it was created by Lord Brahma. And it is also part of Buddhist belief associated with Lake Anotata, where Buddha was conceived. So that is the idea, that is the religious significance of Lake Mansurovar. I hope this is clear. So we are done with today's major and minor news updates. What I want you to do now is go to Vision IAS Digital Current Affair platform. Whatever we have talked today, I want you to attempt the questions related to it. Why? Because As it has been said a number of times, in UPSC, knowledge is 50% work done and 50% is getting the feedback about where do you stand on that knowledge. So practice these questions, try to get an idea whether you got a good understanding of it or not, and keep watching News Today by Vision IAS. Thank you.